Hey YouTube, it's Dimitri, and today we're going to talk a little bit about publishing papers and self-branding. So about a year or two I published my first paper. Again, I'm not an academic. I don't have a PhD. I don't have an institution backing me, but I went out and published my own paper, and I published it in the Global Association for Risk Professionals journal. They're like white papers essentially, so they're for industry. They're supposed to be more like high-level papers, nothing super quantitative, nothing super mathematical, but I published my first paper and it turned out great. So why do I say it turned out great? Well, my local chapter here of GARP invited me to come do like a monthly presentation, and so they had the monthly meeting, a bunch of people came. Again, it wasn't super exciting, right? There was maybe like, I don't know, 10 to 15 industry practitioners. Of those, I probably knew almost like 10 of them out of like, say, 15. And then there was a professor at UTD, so University of Texas, Dallas, who invited her students to come and listen to me speak on ARIMA models, which is what my paper was on. This has led to an amazing relationship between myself and that professor at UTD, as well as myself and UTD as a university. And this entire opportunity, like me doing a career panel there, me speaking to the students about, credit risk, market risk, risk projects, like being involved and being able to impact more people, helping them see the industry, trying to figure out the jobs they want. This all came about because of my paper. And so the paper is kind of twofolds. One, I encourage you guys to publish papers because publishing papers helps you learn. A lot of times we go through classes, we go through work, we know everything, right? You know everything. But then when you go to like explain it to someone, it's hard. And so it makes a lot of sense to sit down and like put it on paper and think about exactly how you would explain this to someone in as clear as way possible. So from doing this, I've learned a ton because you start writing the paper and you're like, I know this fact. But you have to prove it. So you have to go back in and find other academic papers to help back your opinion and to show that you did it. So I think there's kind of three things that come out of publishing papers. One is that you learn a lot when you put all your thoughts on paper. Two, it's a self-branding exercise, so people see that you have published. People invite you to speak, perhaps. You can kind of push your paper on LinkedIn, use it as a branding tool and a way to connect with other professionals and those interested in your topics. And three, it's a great way to actually boost your resume and kind of your confidence. So it's like a personal aspect of it, similar to branding but different, similar to self-learning but different, and the fact that it looks good to have a paper on your resume. It helps build validity with your colleagues. So I do a lot of validations and time series, and a lot of times I like point over to my paper and I'm like, hey, look at this paper. It helps me with my work because I can go back to that paper that I wrote and like point out the paper. So say like, I wrote this paper on time series, you disagree with X, Y, and Z. In this paper I wrote, Dickey Fuller, for example, in 1979, they pointed out X, Y, and Z. They did these proofs, and therefore this is the answer based on this academic paper. So part of the reason I'm actually making this video and thinking about publications and publishing is, one, I want to be publishing more. I want to get in front of more people for all the reasons we've covered here. And two, I've actually been working on a paper. It's kind of my top secret project, I guess, on the side. I do it on weekends typically. I do it after work. I do a lot of reading for this. It takes up a lot of my time. It's taken me over a year now of a lot of work and dedication to writing the paper, rewriting the paper, doing more research, building charts, building graphs, putting it all together, figuring out where you're going to submit it at. So I just submitted my paper today to the Journal of the Royal Statistical Society. It's like methodology B, so there's 3 journals that are part of this. The chance of me being published in this is like 1 in a billion. Something to realize as an industry practitioner and a professional is there's this big divide between academia and the industry, and yes, you might be brilliant, you might have the best paper ever. Fisher Black is a great example. He had this amazing paper, he submitted it, and like the finance journals completely ignored it. There's a lot of speculation around the fact that he got screwed on the Nobel Prize and they waited for him to die before issuing it. I do believe that because there is this divide where academia does not want to accept a lot of times the industry portion, especially if you don't have a PhD. So in Fisher Black's case, he had a PhD. The guy was brilliant. He eventually got it into an economics journal and it got published. And then of course the Black-Scholes model was like groundbreaking and it's amazing and everybody uses it in derivative markets now. And it lays the foundation for how we price all different derivative products in general. But that being said, like, the chances of me publishing this are slim to none. And that's completely okay, I'm fine with that. Also, if you don't know, it costs money to publish. So I've submitted the paper. My fingers are crossed. It'd be awesome if I could actually get published in an academic journal. It holds a lot of weight. But that being said, it costs $3,000 if it gets accepted for me to get it published. There's also a color printing fee of some sort, which I've agreed to pay if it goes through. However, you guys should keep kind of like your expectations in check. So I'm not having any expectations it will be published. I would love if it was published. It would be groundbreaking for me. Huge career change. Like just the fact that in my mind, I'd be so happy and feel like I'm so much more qualified because I have this paper on my resume. But keeping in the back of my mind that it's probably not going to be published, I'm gonna have to go find another journal, something that's definitely a lower tier journal, because this is one of like the top 5 statistics journals in the world. But I'll find somewhere to publish it, and eventually I'll get it published. For the time being, I have to wait. So I have published it officially to this journal. Now I have to wait and see what happens, but I want to keep you guys in the loop and let you know kind of my process with this journal, as well as the benefits of publishing on your own. And I encourage all of you to publish because it definitely promotes yourself. So to wrap this video up here, I just want to encourage you guys to do research on your own, outside of work, outside of school. You know, do what interests you. It's that passion, that drive that makes you so much better of an employee and as a person personally. But I would encourage you guys to do research and publish. It will benefit you tremendously. You might publish your paper and have no feedback for a year, 2 years, 3 years. But if you keep pushing the paper here and there and talking about it, it definitely will benefit you in the long run.
Thanks for watching my video. If you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe.